All right, good morning, friends. Good morning, Sangha. It's good to be here this morning. We're listening to Journey Home Meditation, and we're at the morning sit. So thanks for being here this morning. We're going to get to our regular program, returning back from a little bit of a vacation. So we've got some contemplation this morning, some shared breath work, and got a couple poems to share. And I am happy to be here today. In fact, I think I'm going to cool down just a little bit. It's warm. We're getting into the season. It's lovely to approach that level of change, because I can feel it in my body that it's been wanted. Yeah. Yeah, I forget that I'm affected by everything around me until it starts to get better. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's getting better. I guess better maybe isn't even the best way to describe it, as much as easier or losing some of the tension. But before we get into any of that mess of thoughts and beliefs and all of that, let's just have a few quiet breaths. Just at first allowing ourselves to just be present with the way that our body is holding itself today, or the way that we are holding ourselves. Recognizing the way in which I'm breathing in and out, just for a few breaths, can open us up to a deeper level of awareness about what I might be carrying into this moment that I'm unaware of. And then through a simple adjustment of the breath, just breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly, not using the muscles in our chest to bring the air in, but the diaphragm pulling downward and massaging all of our internal organs and allowing the belly to grow large and relaxing the lower back, letting the shoulders gently hang from the spine, bringing the shoulder blades together just a bit in the back to open the chest and to open our heart. We breathe in through the nose. And out. Listening to those spaces that we're opening in our body, breathing in. And out. And giving ourselves the capacity to release, breathing in. A small smile can come across the face as you relax and breathe out. And just taking that few moments to be with whatever it is that has changed, if anything, or no matter how subtle it might be. Sometimes it's a major shift. Um, I notice that there's sometimes a complete difference in the way I want to move through the day after just a few breaths. And sometimes it's so subtle, I'm wondering if I'm broken. Did I do it right? Am I breathing right? But it is there. It is there. And even just the gift of pause um, is enough to give us time. Because a lot of my mornings, I will skip certain parts of my routine, whether it's a bit of the hygiene process here or there, or skip breakfast, or not drink a glass of water, or miss my body movement practices, just because I feel like I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Um, so taking that pause is creating that time. It's it's giving yourself the ability to understand that you are not lacking and there is no scarcity. You can be here breathing in this moment. You can have that glass of water. You can make a cup of coffee. We do have commitments that we like to keep, but when we start functioning from that place of scarcity, that I don't have enough, then you're going to snowball that throughout the day. And oftentimes I'll find that I am functioning on I don't have enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. And that's a mantra that becomes a belief, and a belief that becomes language and thought and perspective of the world. So pausing, taking time, I think it's a good way forward. It's also pretty anti-capitalist, which is it's always good to be able to throw a dose of anti-capitalism into our mornings. Oh, what would the Buddha say? Yeah. But it's good to be here. I think with this season change and so many changes in our lives collectively, and in my life personally, and in my sphere of people, I think that's where I'm really focusing my thoughts on this morning, is on change, on what it is to invite change into our lives, and what it requires of us to be able to allow ourselves to change, to allow our thoughts to change, and to forgive what we thought we were doing for the best. I don't know exactly where the words are on that, but it's this, the feeling there is I am sometimes unwilling to change because that would possibly make me feel differently about something, and I don't think that that's necessary. I think if we can hold more than one truth at a time, we can understand that how large we can be, that our heart is big enough for more than one belief about our story or about who we are. I think maybe I'm being vague, I'm feeling vague. Angela and I were talking this morning. She is giving a keynote address to a large conference on suicide prevention in the state of Oregon. And she is um, entering into some new ground in the discussion around what it could look like to incorporate a change of our view on death as a part of our movement to prevent and to heal from the pain of suicide loss. And it's a big question and it's a big opening because culturally we have uh, a lot of stigma around death, and specific deaths have even more stigma. And I think that when we're talking about our willingness to change, going right for some of the most difficult questions is really a good way forward. some ways, in some ways. Because what we're talking about is grieving, and what we're talking about is forgiveness. Um, the questions that are being asked today of the participants in that conference, I'm going to ask them here. And it's going to be about death, but it doesn't have to only be about death. But I think that the way that we live and the way that we die are the same. And the way we believe about death is going to influence the way that we believe about our lives. So the question is, what is your first experience with death? And then the follow-up question is, how has this influenced your beliefs, and how does it affect your response each time it comes up in your life? And so I take this question, and we can be direct about death, but I like to take it about pretty much any belief that I hold. Like, what is my first experience with tenderness? What is my first experience with forgiveness? What is my first experience with love, with care, with fear? Like, finding in my body the way to understand how my earliest experiences can shape and mold the way that I'm going to respond for the rest of my life, and how that is going to disallow me from change, because I am going to relate these experiences to my foundation of being loved or not. So when I think about what love looks like, and the parameters that I have around love, how I love or how I am loved, uh, am I willing to understand that I have beliefs that influence my parameters? And am I willing to open up to love in a new way without having to discount or forget the way that I was loved before? And that's really difficult sometimes. But I think that if we understand that change is an expression of love, and it can be growth, not closings, but openings, always openings, always openings. Um, it can be helpful, and the seasons, I think, are helpful in that lesson. Um, the flowers that come up in the meadow below my home in the spring don't take away from the trees that are already there. the the migration of the birds and the pollinators, they don't detract from the ecosystems of the place. They are part of the movement of life. They are the breath. And in the same in my life. I'm at a place in my life right now, and maybe it's my age, maybe it's just the time that we're living in, but I am calling in long standing connections and friendships that have drifted. And facing these people who I've known for so long, it's this amazing invitation to be in your change. When you sit in front of someone who you've known for 30 plus years, and you see the way that we've changed, our bodies have changed, or our interests have changed, or our style has changed, hopefully. um, But we see the way that life has crafted and molded us. And if we can open to that love with that person, with all of that change, which is pretty easy to do, actually, then we can do that with ourselves. We can take that lesson we're learning from this mirror of a person in our lives, tethered directly to the way that we love, and we can apply that to our own lives and our own practice. And that's where I've been at. I don't know if I'm making any sense. It's been a few days since I sat and talked about any of these things, any contemplations. I've been pretty busy, but there's a feeling here of invitation. I want to invite my entire being to participate fully in the change as it comes, as a raw act of love. Grasping for what was is not love for what was, it's fear for what is. I think that inherently the practice of doing this is grief work. I think that that's what grief work really is. Grief work is a letting go of what we thought we knew to understand what is in front of us. Sometimes it's about the loss of a promised future. We had promised ourselves this way of being, or this way of feeling, or this way of seeing, and that's changed. And so grief work is the opening to love as the world is now. What do we want more in our lives than to be loved as we are right now? So many of us spend so much time and energy being who we were then and showing up with stories about, oh, I was so cool, or look at these pictures of how pretty I used to be. Look at my skin. Oh my gosh. And then we look at ourselves now and we pinch our bellies and we go, oh, well, what happened? But underneath all that joking and self-deprecation as a social lubricant, we are simply asking to be loved as we are right now. And that requires a lot of grief work sometimes. There's a poem in a book by Joy Harjo, Conflict Resolution for Holy Beings is the title of the book. I'll show that there. Joy Harjo is phenomenal poet, former poet laureate of the United States, meaning that they are the poetic ambassador for the people, not for the government, not for an institution, but they are a voice of reason and beauty and art and revolution and rage and love and joy and all the things that poetry can gift us. And this poem I found in this book, it's called It's Raining in Honolulu. And Joy Harjo often, because of her being as being of the Muskogee Creek Nation, she is familiar firsthand with the process of colonization and decolonization that she opens up about in her writings. And when she in this poem talks about Honolulu, she's talking about a currently colonial project where the people and the land are working together to maintain their connection, and how beautiful that can be. And she's talking this poem, she's going to talk about that. It's called It's Raining in Honolulu. There is a small mist at the brow of the mountain. Each leaf of flower, of taro, tree, and bush shivers with ecstasy, and the rain songs of all the flowering ones who have called for the rain can be found there, flourishing beneath the currents of singing. Rain opens us like flowers or earth that has been thirsty for more than a season. We stop all of our talking, quit thinking, to drink the mystery. We listen to the breathing beneath our breathing. We hear how the rain became rain, how we became human. The wetness saturates and cleans everything, including the perpetrators. The second overthrow. We will plant songs where there were curses. I'm going to read the last 4 lines again, partially because I had a moment of pause because I read the page number, caught my attention. This is actually on page 108, which is always a number to me that tells me I'm where I'm supposed to be. So let's go back and read these again. The last 4 lines are: we hear how the rain became rain, how we became human. The wetness saturates and cleans everything, including the perpetrators of the second overthrow. We will plant songs where there were curses. We will plant songs where there were curses. This is the process of grief and of opening into love and remembering who we are. We are fertile land of growth and blossoming flowers, and we are death and dying, and we are the rotting compost of all of that came before us. And the wetness saturates and cleans everything, including the perpetrators. And I had one more poem that went side by side, I think, in the heart space of that. This is from what's becoming one of my favorite morning books, Touch the Earth, Poems on the Way by Drew Jackson. And these are all based around the Gospels of Luke. Drew Jackson is a pastor and a social activist in New York. And this is based on Luke chapter 9, verse 37 through 43. It's called The Tragedy of the Disinherited. And the quote preceding is: "The doom of the children is the greatest tragedy of the disinherited." From Howard Thurman, Jesus and the Disinherited. Down in the valley, in the belly of this beast, Tamir can't run free. The emmets are threatened till their young bodies are seized by the demonic, squeezed out of the life that others enjoy, and we are left helpless in the face of evil that is suffocating our sons. Wondering what else can be done, we begin to lose faith that any change can come, so we lift our eyes to the hills, questioning when and where our help will come from. There's references in here. The first reference being Tamir Rice, the young boy who was killed for playing in his neighborhood. Down in the valley, in the belly of the beast, Tamir can't run free. But as the poem comes to its close, it doesn't really close. It's more of an ellipsis to the world. So we lift our eyes to the hills, questioning when and where our help will come from. again, the practice of change is the practice of grief. And that is the invitation to love. So that's where my thoughts are on this morning. Let's take a few breaths together, lengthening our spine as much as we can, opening our bodies to receive and release. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in, I am changing. Breathing out, I am love. I am changing. I am love. I am changing. I am love. You can stay in this space as long as you'd like. Thanks for being here this morning. It's good to be back in this cushion and in this meditation hall and in this chat with everyone. We'll be here every day this week. Doors open at 8 a.m. and meditation starts at 8:30. So thanks for being here at the Beside and with Journey Home Meditation this morning. Any questions, comments, reflections from the room?
Yeah, I mean, I came in I just feel very busy, and I'm coming in. There's a lot going on. So what, just the new season starting, I feel like a bit more like full, and I'm doing more, and I feel like I had just it was just helpful hearing you talk, and I don't know. I think I get kind of overwhelmed by like a general just so much fear of that creates this anxiety in me. I don't know if it's like partially like just fear of constant like missing out on things or not knowing what's coming next and not knowing like if I'm in the right place and doing the right things with my time all the time. And yeah, just a general fear of what's to come after my life and like if I haven't lived it in the right way. But you know, I'm feeling like just bringing a little bit more like love in and helping me like it's helping me assuage the fear, alleviate the fear a little bit. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I identify. Especially the fear of missing out kind of thing. When we move out to a place that's so rural, there's a lot of like, am I missing out on opportunities in my life to like do these other things? Because this is a slower pace here. But you know, my friend Kayla told me once, she said that she's really been thinking about how much our life is just days. There's just days in our life. We have days. We wake up, we have that day, and then we go to bed. And she said, you know, each of those days are just moments. They're just comprised of moments. And she said, at the end of my day, I sometimes think about how many moments I spent miserable. And there was no good reason for that. And so if our life is made of moments, I don't want my life to be made of misery. So she said, I'm now on this constant search to make this moment love and beauty and gratitude. And it really helped me when she said that, because I was like, you know, I think big picture, you know, oh yeah, so I was grumpy and I had an argument, no big deal. But it's like, no, maybe that's taking up precious time, precious space where you could just be in love with the person in front of you instead of fighting with them. And I used to argue a lot. You know? And I used to have a constant feeling of dissatisfaction with the world. Therefore, I thought I had to do something to change that. And so it made me feel insecure, which made me argue and defend myself. And now I'm moving really, really deeply into the space of like, I am just happy to be here with you in this moment. Like, and I'm in love with that feeling. That makes such a big difference. I think that's what you were kind of talking about a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing these moments here. It's good to see you. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Howdy.
Cherry